pardon this interruption of our normal G.I. Joe mass unboxings, because the newest trio is here. The swimsuit trio. No, scratch that. That's not what I meant. Not the swimsuit trio. Now that would be an interesting video. Let's call this the water wave, I guess. All water related guys. So this is the newest wave. This is the three newest figures. Rock and Roll is in this wave, but I got Rock and Roll a few weeks ago, and so I did a video already of him by itself. These three just happened to come in together from two different vendors, so I figured I might as well open them up together rather than splitting it into three separate videos. You know, they all follow the nautical theme, and I'm super excited for this because these are some classic characters. Obviously, everyone knows Shipwreck, who's number 70 in the series. We got Torpedo. They're not in the right order. We got Torpedo here. He's 73 in the series. And then we got Cobra Copperhead, which is 72 in the series. One thing about Copperhead is I never had him when I was a kid. I know he came with a vehicle, which I'll go over. But, you know, I was never sure as a kid if that was like a legendary G.I. Joe, you know? Only one of, you know what I mean? Like Copperhead, like Destro, Cobra Commander. There's only one of those guys. I didn't quite know that about him, or if he just was a troop. There was a group of people called, Copperheads. And I think it leans more towards there's a group, even though he came with the vehicle. I think there was more than one. But anyways, let's take a look at the packaging. I'm super excited for this wave. All right, first up, we have Shipwreck, which is a quintessential classic G.I. Joe. He's in a lot of the cartoon. I think he's more known in my head from the cartoon than the comic book, the old Marvel comic book, because of his iconic sort of voice. And
oh boy, somebody finally realized my potential. You sorry sons of dog faces are gonna really snap too now that Colonel Shipwreck is here.
Voice, and he was kind of a ladies' man, even though none of the ladies ever said yes to him. And who could forget Polly, his little parrot, wisecracking parrot. So we're still on windowless packaging here, and we've actually gone further away from the artwork. And the artwork is one of my favorite things about the G.I. Joe classified boxes. But as you can see, now we're into just little teeny slivers on the cover. So, I'm not so much a fan of this. I hope we get back to the old style boxes pretty soon when Windows come back, because they did say they're going to bring Windows back at some point. But anyways, that's the front of the box. The art over there with the, Polly and Shipwreck yelling. They reversed the sides on me. The picture's on this side. It used to be on the other side. But picture's on this side, which is just a redux of the picture on the front. He's number 70 in the series. 70. The other side are the icons. I don't even know if I should go over these icons anymore, because Hasbro is obviously trying to get away from them. Because this QR code, all this takes you to is the store to buy more stuff. That's all they care about is money. And they shrunk these icons. Like literally, I could barely see these icons. You would think there'd be bigger ones on the back, and they're slightly bigger on the back, but they're really not. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of lame that they started it and that it doesn't seem like they want to continue. Like it looks like they're making a conscious effort to get away from the icons. Maybe they'll disappear in the next wave. I don't know. But I mean, we can go over them. So that's obviously the water environment, light weapons, hand-to-hand combat, and naval combat. Obviously, it's Shipwreck. He's obviously, a Navy dude. He's got the blue on, the Navy hat. He does come with a decent amount of accessories, so I'm excited about that. And obviously they have paint decos on them, which I'm super excited about from more of the recent G.I. Joes. But hey, that's just the package. We'll wait till we open him up to judge him. And obviously, if you know anything about G.I. Joe, you know about Shipwreck, you can instantly recognize this guy. So this, modernized version is definitely his first version, which is from Series 4 in 1985. 1985 was the big banner G.I. Joe year where they released so much stuff, and the series really kicked it into high gear. So he's one of the 1985 crew. And next we have Torpedo, Edward Lialoa, I think. And Torpedo's another super specialized G.I. Joe, obviously. Many a kid had him in their bathtub. And there wasn't a lot of versions of him, believe it or not. There's only maybe 4 or 5 Torpedoes over all the ages. And speaking about versions, obviously this is clearly based on the first version, which was in Series 2, 1983. And the Series 1, 2 ones, I've said this before, they're kind of, the series really hit its stride in 1984, 1985. The first couple series were actually super plain, and Torpedo's no exception. His first figure is just, black with that light gray stripe in the middle, which obviously this follows that aesthetic, but it's got some really ballin' looking accessories in here, so I'm super excited about this figure. But his original figure was pretty plain. So just looking about this in the box, I'm super excited about the modernization elements of it. I'm excited. So we got the artwork again on the front right there. On the side, you have the same artwork again as on the front. So again, they're skimping on the artwork too for some reason. They used to have almost 2 different drawings. Some of them were the same, but some of them were different. I don't know. 73 in the series. Other side again, just the dumb QR code, the symbols down there. Flipping around to the back, you have the, production renders and all the cool accessories. Like I said, I'm super excited about this. And he's obviously a diver, Torpedo. So he's water environment, aero weapons, explosives, and underwater combat. And last up on this wave, we finally have a Cobra, and this is Cobra Copperhead. Again, I didn't know when I was younger if it was a troop or if that was like a name and it was just like a one dude, but I think it is a troop. His old figure did come with a vehicle. Right now we're just looking at the package, so obviously Cobra packaging, he's a little light on accessories compared to the other two, I guess. But definitely I did know about him growing up, and man oh man, I was in love with his color scheme growing up. He's definitely got one of those super unique color schemes that really stands out, and I love the designs. So I hope the modernization of this figure is just as cool for sure. So again, we got the artwork right there. Going to the side, artwork again, 72 in the series. Other side, buy more at the store. But it is red, that's kind of cool. Instead of blue, it's red. And then the back, you got the render, the accessories, some not really action shots, standy shots, I guess. And then, the symbols, which are naval pilot. Remember, his original figure did come with a vehicle. He was the pilot of a vehicle. I think it was the Moccasin. Light weapons, hand-to-hand combat, and I think that's jungle combat. So if he goes to an island, gets you stuck on a tropical island, he can kick your butt there too. All right, let's open these suckers and play in the bathtub. All right, this is him, Shipwreck out of the box. And, straight out of the box, it's definitely iconic Shipwreck. Doesn't look much different than the original. Obviously, there's modernizations here. And I actually really there's not a lot of reuse here either. I don't see the sleeves on anybody. The pants are completely all new. The crotch is probably not, because it does have a belt behind a belt, which I've complained about before. It doesn't make much sense. And the way it was packed in the box, this belt was held up a little bit, and I actually can't get it to go down properly. Like this end keeps popping up because it was in the box like this, you know what I mean? So now the plastic is used to that. I don't have a heat gun or something. I'm sure I can straighten that out with a heat gun or something like that. But that's what sucks about windowless packaging, right? Like if I saw that on the shelf, I would have chose a different Shipwreck. I would have been like, I choose the other one, you. But other than that, this figure looks very good. And again, like I've said in the earlier episodes, like some of these iconic Joes, I like how you can just glance at these and know who it is. Shipwreck is Shipwreck. You can never think Shipwreck is someone else, right? If you know anything about G.I. Joe and you glance at this, that's Shipwreck. I know him. I love him. He was more prominent in the cartoon, like I said, than the comic book, I think, and that's because his annoying voice. And if I remember right, he originally signed on to G.I. Joe as kind of like a mercenary, like, hey, pay me more money than Cobra and then I'll come help you. But obviously he was a big part of the series when it originally was around. And I did have a Shipwreck when I was younger. I don't have it anymore, like most of the figures we go over on this channel in this series. I definitely do not have it anymore, but I definitely remember him. I did have him. He was, again, one of my bath time toys. So like I said, there's not a lot of reuse here. He's got the iconic white hat on. The head sculpt is pretty good. The neck looks maybe a little skinny for the head, if you ask me, if you look at it like that. It's definitely a little skinny maybe, but that's kind of a nitpick. The color scheme is great. I really like the pants because the pants he had back in the day were super flared at the bottom. They were almost like, bell bottoms or something like that. And this continues that aesthetics. Like it's super baggy at the end. And it actually, goes around the boot like that. And I do think it matches the aesthetic for the old figure in the cartoon. Pretty cool. I definitely like it a lot. These are definitely jeans. So, it's textured. The texture on it's good. The paint job on it, it's okay. Because it's only right here. They made some spots like right here to show, you know, that jean texture, like the, you know, the faded texture. But as far as I can tell, it's nowhere else but this part of his legs. If they did a little bit more on the legs, I think it would have looked better. But again, you know, it's not perfect, but it definitely doesn't look bad. And this coloring does make it look good, you know, from the front. Again, you just don't see it anywhere else. And see how this keeps riding up, man? It's gonna annoy me. It's really gonna annoy me. And the belt under the belt, it doesn't make sense. Make a crotch piece without a belt, just to reuse 100 times. Come on, G.I. Joe. So basic articulation is the same as the other G.I. Joes, right? Butterfly joint, you got the bicep swivel with these cool sleeves. He's got some cool deco on his uniform. Tattoo right there, that's the famous anchor tattoo. And over here, he's got a fish, like a koi fish or something. He's got no hair on his arms like they did with Outback, but he does have hair on his chest. They put some chest hair in there for the ladies. So obviously he turns at the waist. He's got, you know, the classic G.I. Joe ab crunch at this point. All the basic articulation in the legs, you know, double joints, no pins. The feet don't move. The feet don't move that much because the boot, you know, the flared out pants. But I mean, you can't win them all, I guess. So there's not much movement with the boot. He's probably just going to be in some stationary poses, maybe not the most posable one because of the feet. We're now into the back, obviously backpack hole, you know, he's got the holster here for his different accessories. And, you know, overall, I'm pretty pleased with this figure. This is Shipwreck. This is classic Shipwreck right here. And he does come with cool accessories. He comes with some unhatted, I don't know if there's a word for that, hair. He comes with hair, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. So check out his accessories next. And I don't know if this belt is going to drive me crazy or not, but it's driving me crazy so far. All right, first things first, hair. And so it's super confusing. Like, not confusing, but they did a really good job hiding like where the hair is going to come off, because I thought maybe just the head came off. Then doesn't make sense with this hair. So I pulled it, and it has actually like the hair attached to the head. And it actually looks really good the way they did that. And so let's get unhatted hair on there, and there you go. That looks pretty nice. Honestly, I'm pretty impressed with that. Like my Shipwreck in my head is always wearing his hat. I know obviously he wasn't literally always wearing his hat, but I do like the sculpt on that hair for sure. It's got that, you know, sort of greasy, you know, wet hair look to it because, you know, he's always, you know, on the 7 Seas. He looks a little, you know, Keanu Reeves-ish, I would say. But I do actually really like this unhatted hair in addition to the hat hair. I think on my shelf, you know, this is a Shipwreck I know. So this is what he's going to be. But the hair is very good. I think they did a really good job of that. All right, first accessory is the rope, which actually goes around his body. And the way you can tell that that's where it goes is because he actually doesn't have a hole on him for poly. So that's the poly hole right here. So when you put this around his arm, I might not do it right this second, but then poly goes there, so it looks like poly's sitting on his shoulder. Does that make sense to everybody? Let's see if I can get it on there without popping his head off or anything. All right, it's there. So that's his look on the box, right? So he's got the rope which goes around him, which is obviously an extra piece. So I think that's pretty cool. And then, you know, Polly, which we'll look at next, will go right in that hole right there. And here's Polly, since we're on it. Yes, his name is Polly. He or she, I don't know if it's a boy or girl. And it does have a peg leg. So see that? It's a peg leg. It's like a pirate parrot. Just kidding. That's the peg that goes in the rope. And he does have a hole on his wrist too. So you could either put Polly in the rope or the wrist. Right, there's Polly on the rope. Sticks in there really good. Looks really nice. I love the green. The green, you know, in contrast to, you know, Shipwreck's normal uniform, the blue and everything, and the brown. I think it looks super good. Polly looks a little bit crooked, maybe. Depends on where you put the rope, I guess. But she's definitely crooked a little bit. I don't know if you could stand her up straighter than that. If you can mess around with it a little bit and make her straighter than that. But, you know, looks great for sure. And again, there is a peg hole on his arm, which I didn't point out yet for some godforsaken reason. So Polly can go in there. So like that. So yay, Polly want a cracker? Polly want a cracker? Woohoo! And he does come with a metallic silver anchor here, which I guess you can use as like a grappling hook too. You know, attach it to the rope and that you got a grappling hook or an anchor. If you ever need, you know, a random anchor, you're out, you know, in your boat and you don't have an anchor, call Shipwreck and he can help you out. Because that's that. And this does hook on to the hook on his belt. He carries this around. I don't know how he does it, but he carries this around with him. All right, and he comes with 2 guns. He does have 2 holsters on his body. This is just, looks like a generic, just sort of handgun. But this gun is a complete homage to his original gun he came with. He came with a gun with a little, you know, cloth loop on the handle. I'm sure this type of gun might have some sort of official terminology. I don't know it. I don't live in Texas, okay? But it is a unique sculpt because it's, you know, his gun. And it's got 2 different paint decos on it, right? So that's really nice. It's a very nice touch. I even like, you know, how it goes not just straight to the silver over here. It's not symmetrical. There's still a little black spot up on here. It's a very, very nice touch and it looks good. All right, and that's Shipwreck. I think it's an awesome addition to the line. It's classic Shipwreck. It's modernized a little bit. I love the colors. I love the aesthetic. I love the paint job on the pants. I wish that it was more around. I love the sculpt on the pants. I loved his, you know, his hair on his head. And I liked his hatted head too. Like this figure is very, very, very good. This is definitely one of the better, newer ones that has come out lately for sure. All right, and here is Mr. Torpedo. And, you know, like I said, based on his version 1 figure, was super, super plain. Not much going on there. So the updates to this, the modernization to this, I mean, I think it's super good. I really like the sleek look of everything because obviously, you know, he's a smaller gentleman. He's in a tight wetsuit, you know, most of his life. And so as far as I can tell, this is a unique sculpt on everything. And the amount of accessories he comes with too, it's kind of mind-blowing that they gave him as many accessories as they did. And again, from the look and, you know, the color scheme, if you were a fan of Torpedo back in the day, you could glance at this again and just say right away, hey, that's Torpedo, right? He's got the black, you know, outside of the costume with the light gray stripe down the middle. That's, you know, the iconic look for the first Torpedo. Obviously, this is way more complex and way cooler than the first Torpedo. But iconically, color scheme wise, you can definitely tell it's the same character. And that's what I love about the series. So again, we're not going to talk about the articulation every single one of these episodes. It's the basic G.I. Joe articulation. You got the ab crunch, butterfly joint, double elbows, double knees. The cool thing about him that I haven't seen much of is he actually has a ankle swivel. Rather than, you know, a shin swivel. I don't know what you want to call that other than shin swivel. But hey, his ankle swivels around. So you can get definitely better poses on him than you're going to get on a Shipwreck for sure. Even though, you know, you're just going to bring this guy in the bathtub. I know. You're going to start a bubble bath and you're going to put him in, right? Cobra Eel is going to come out pretty soon too, you know. Cobra Eel I did have when I was younger. I never had a Torpedo, but I did have a Cobra Eel. I'm super excited about Cobra Eel too, for sure. So going to the helmet, the sculpt work, obviously, you know, there's some lines on the wetsuit mask here, which I really like. Obviously, you know, G.I. Joe does shine on most of its face sculpts. And this one is definitely very cool because it's definitely a little different than the other characters, right? Like he definitely looks like his own, you know, sort of unique character. He's got slightly darker skin. And I definitely dig this color scheme. The black, the light gray with just a couple sort of red accents looks very good. Again, the red painting though, I've seen a lot of the newer figures, especially, you know, Python Patrol Bat. The paint jobs are getting sloppier. And this is definitely a little sloppy, right? You can see the gray all up top right there when this should be completely red. So, you know, some of the paint jobs are definitely getting sloppier as we go, but, you know, I don't know. I don't think it's a, you know, huge deal breaker with some of the figures. Something you can probably fix if you're a customizer. I am not. So going down to the arm, I really like this. He's got this this loose piece right here. It's like a wristband, but it's got like a sonar, you know, locator or something like that on it. And that's pretty cool. It's an extra piece. Paint job is good. The details are good. I dig that. Other arm is just straight down. On his leg, he does have a holster on this side, and the holster on this side only has one strap rather than most of the holsters have had two straps. And so it does keep, it's got sort of a mind of its own. That one strap doesn't really hold it in place very well, I would say. So, you pull it down, get it nice and tight on there, but then it keeps popping up by itself. So we'll see how it looks there. You definitely have some more, bad paint right there. Not doing a very good job on the paint apps, Hasbro, anymore. So you got some bad paint right there, but I do like how, that's a sculpted on details down the leg. It's not just plain and painted on. So I definitely like that. There's another sort of holster on this side that doesn't hold anything. So it's just like packs, maybe, I don't know. There's packs. Going around to the back, another thing I did notice is the backpack hole doesn't quite line up with this. Like that's, if you put this vest on, it's not a vest, I don't know, these straps on, sort of where they naturally flow, it's definitely not aligned right there. But I mean, you're just gonna have to bring that up a little bit and try to get his backpack in there. Maybe it'll help hold the backpack on, because that's one of my big complaints about the G.I. Joe Classified line is the backpacks fall down quite a lot. But overall, body-wise and everything, I definitely like this. It's a unique sculpt. I love the color scheme. And see, this thing's popping up again, and I'm barely touching. All right, color scheme, good. Face, good. Torpedo, good. All right, first things first, look at his iconic accessory from his first figure. Yes, he had swim fins, and these are even semi-flexible, right? So, I mean, maybe they did that on purpose. I don't know, but it's kind of cool. It's like a real, swim fin or something like that. Obviously, his original ones were just plain Jane gray, but the design was pretty similar to this. I do like these, this color update, the black and the red. I know that's more Cobra colors, I guess, but, it also probably helps keep him hidden under the water a little bit. And, it's just plain black on the other side. So, sculpt on these are very good. I definitely like the color scheme, the updates to the color scheme. So I don't know. I have no complaints about these. Oh yeah, they go on the feet quite easy too. And they're not pegs. I thought they would be pegs, but no, they just slip on sort of like, almost like Crocs. This part on the back is like flexible. So you just put the foot in and pop it up there. But yeah, I dig that. I dig that with the color scheme. So he does come with a backpack, and this backpack is definitely more modernized than the first one. The first one had two orange oxygen tanks on it. This is just like a flat sort of black piece. It does have peg holes here because he does have a swimming mask, and it's got 2 tubes that'll plug into the backpack. So obviously this is his oxygen. It plugs right into his mask, and we'll take a peek at those next. Like I said, here's his mask right here. So it goes on his head. These 2, peg holes will go into this oxygen tank right here. Just like that. Ta-da! And then he's got his mask on, he's got his scuba gear on, and he can breathe underwater. Oh yes, that's what he looks like with his backpack on, attached to the mask. The mask is a little loose, it doesn't clip on or anything, so it's relatively loose, but it will stay on there. And you could turn them because these are flexible. I think that looks really good. I wish sort of the mask was clear goggles rather than just paint. But, it doesn't look that bad. It just looks kind of plain like this. Like there's a reflection in there. It would have been cool if those were see-through of some sort. But again, I like the aesthetic for sure. And I definitely like the color scheme updates on this. All right, he's got a small knife here with some, barbs at the top. So this could be a unique sculpt. I don't think it is, but it could be. I do like the paint accent, right? So it's got that crimson red handle with the black knife. All right, he's got a machine gun with a clip right here because obviously he needs some weapons. His original figure only came with a harpoon gun, which he does have in this version, obviously, but he needs a bullet weapon too. So that's his machine gun right there with the removable clip. Again, sculpt work looks good. No paint details on this one, but looks pretty good. And he comes with a lot of accessories. I'm not going to complain about his accessories. And the gun, just so you know, does clip to the bottom of the backpack. There was a slot at the bottom, so it does clip in there just like that, which, looks good. The only, annoying thing is this holster right here. I'm having problems with this holster. So then last but not least, of course, he's a diver. He's Torpedo. He needs a spear gun, a torpedo gun. And so he has one. And again, this looks... this is a homage back to his original figure. He had a spear gun. It was very plain in that one. So this one's, a much bigger spear. It's got the paint details, right? The silver tip. black, and then this, it's not a rope, it's like a rubber sort of thing to go around his arm, because obviously when you're diving, you drop your gun, you're out of luck, right? So this'll keep it on his arm, right? So this looks very good. It looks very modernized, and I dig the paint details, and this is what makes him Torpedo. I think there's a lot to like about this figure for sure. I definitely dig it. I dig all the updates. I dig the color scheme. I dig a lot of stuff about this. I'm not sure I dig the mask. I think it needs clear goggles. I think that would look way better. And some of the paint applications are super sloppy, and I'm disappointed in that. However, in my wish list for a Torpedo figure, this hits all of the notes for sure. It's almost a unique sculpt. He's got amazing accessories. Like, I really dig this, and I can't wait to get Cobra Eel for him to, have battles against under the sea. Well, this is a thing that looks awesome. I love the color scheme. I really like the overall sort of sculpt work of it. There are some issues which we'll get into as, we go around it. But I definitely love the color scheme and just the aesthetic of Copperhead's costume. Like, this is easily one of the coolest Cobra costumes in my humble opinion, of course. And again, this hits all the notes that I look for. It looks, just like old Copperhead, but modernized, right? Obviously, it's not exactly like old Copperhead. He was more like teal blue in this area with this like neon green. So this is green on green. So it's definitely a little different than, the original Copperhead figure. But it still fits that aesthetic, and it's still, that neon green makes it pop out, and it says Copperhead. If you know anything about G.I. Joe, if you've seen him before, bam, Copperhead. So I'm definitely pretty happy with this figure for sure. I do think the head probably could have been better done if it was a face underneath and a helmet that went on top. It might look a little better. There's a little bit more of the really sloppy paint work inside. Some of the flesh on his face is going onto the helmet on my figure. Again, I wish we had window packaging so I could see that before, buying them. But there's some sloppy paint work on here. Even the black that goes around, it does bleed up a little bit too. So again, Hasbro, man, you're getting sloppy on this paint work. I don't know what, QC issues are going on or whatever, but it doesn't mar the figure in too bad of a sense. Like, I still love the aesthetic and just the overall proportions and everything of the figure. The gun holster matches the original figure. The gun holster down here matches it too. The green down here, it looks so good. The armbands match the original figure too. Now, these armbands I'm not a big fan of because they do sort of just fall down a little bit. Even if you put it all the way up, it's not very tight. So part of me wishes this was just sculpted on, I guess. But, I don't know. They don't seem to stay up all that well. And once you do stick them up there real good so they won't fall down, then they're all crooked, right? So I'm not sure I like the aesthetics of either of these. Maybe they could have just been, see, that one's just falling down sort of naturally, right? After I just stuck it up there. But it won't go too far up, so it gets real tight. If you put it up real tight, it's super crooked now. I don't know. I'm definitely not a fan of this aesthetic. Part of me wants that to be a sculpted on piece and just painted. I understand, doing the extra piece thing, because obviously these arms are reuse. Obviously there's been, manly unclothed arms before, and these are just reuse from that, whatever figure that is. But, I mean, this is a problem. These are falling down. I don't know. So, not so sure I'm a huge fan of those. I love the, silver cobra symbol in the middle. It looks ballin', just like the original figure. Articulation is, the same G.I. Joe articulation. He's got another belt on a belt down here, which hides his cool belt buckle. They made this cool belt buckle in crotch piece, and then you cover it up with another thing like that. So, I don't know. It doesn't make much sense to me, I guess. Wouldn't you think we'd want to see that cool belt buckle, I suppose you can put this up just to, sort of uncover the belt buckle, but maybe not. I think it's attached over there. I don't know why you make a cool belt buckle like that and just cover it up. So that's another weird choice, I guess. And look at the thing's falling down. Man, I'm like striking out with this 3 figures. They're so cool in most regards, but there's just some like boneheaded choices in these. Okay, so I got these stuck up as far as they can go. As far as they can go. Let's see how long it takes for them to fall down again. Anyway, so going down the legs, obviously there's good sculpted details here. It's got a little patch on the outside too. The neon green thing. The boots look good. I think the legs are a unique sculpt. I don't think I've seen this design on anyone before. It's obviously got a gun holster right here. And it's got, a clip-on handle, which is, kind of a cool little touch. But, Copperhead is iconic due to his color scheme and, his helmet. And I think this definitely hits all those notes. I want to love this figure so much because the color scheme and what it looks like. These things are going to annoy me for sure. And, the cover and the belt buckle doesn't make sense either. So, it's not perfect, but I'm pretty happy with the color scheme and stuff. So he did come with just this big gun holster, it looks like, to go in his back. So it's sort of like Flint. Flint didn't have a backpack either. Was it Flint? Yeah, it was Flint. He didn't have a backpack either, but he had a big gun holster that plugged into the back. Oh, Crimson, no. Cobra Officer had one too, I believe. He had just the plug with the holster that you put a gun in. And so did Flint too, I'm pretty sure, with his shotgun. So that's what this is. So, it's got that leather texture on it. It's got some, the shells on it right here, which look really good. And it's got another, clip to go over the top of the gun. So the sculpt work on it is very nice. And I believe this is the gun that goes in the holster on the back. So it's not even a big honking gun. It's just a handgun. Super long barrel, a scope on top. If you ask me, this actually looks a little like, I know it's not the same. It looks a little like Megatron from Transformers as a gun. He comes with Megatron. That'd be a cool crossover. Yep, there you go. Just like that. Put it at an angle, put it straight up. I'll keep it at an angle like that. Small handgun too, no paint accents or anything. So, everyone needs a handgun. I've said it 100 times. Everyone needs a handgun. So there it is. There's his. And my pet peeve about figures. My number one pet peeve. McFarlane is terrible at this. And Hasbro, I guess, is getting terrible too, but it's bent things straight out of the package. So here's his machete. He comes with a big old machete to chop, eels' heads off. And obviously jungle. He goes in the jungle, right? Look at how bent that thing is. Like, that's ridiculous. And this it's not even in blister packaging, right? It's just in that bag. So how on the earth does it get bent like this? Like on the way here? Again, I'm of the opinion I shouldn't need a heat gun right when I open brand new figures. You know what I mean? Like, they should be relatively okay. But, I got a bent machete here, so he does have a holster on him, so maybe that'll straighten him out a little bit, so we'll see. So, other than the giant bend, it's a machete. It's got, painted details, the silver blade, the black handle. Looks pretty cool, other than, the curving to the right. So it goes in there, and it's definitely not going to straighten it out, right? It's just going to stay curved over there. So maybe I need to get a heat gun, I guess, and try to straighten that out. I don't know. So, I want to love this figure so much, but there's definitely a few problems here that, are hard to overcome. I want to love this figure so much. I think the biggest drawback to this figure is the paint sloppiness, because you can even see his chest is painted. The paint does not match his neck. So again, it's a different tone than his neck, which, I've seen a few times in the G.I. Joe Classified series. It kind of sucks. And the plastic is green. So I don't know if you can see this, but there's some green poking out here that they didn't even paint. So he's just got some green lines to his skin around the hard edges. So, sloppy paint job. I got bent accessories, sloppy paint job. These things don't look that good, and they fall down a lot. But I want to love this figure so much. I love the color scheme. I love, the character. I'm happy to have him. I didn't have him when I was younger because he only came with the vehicle, and I never had the vehicle. So, it's awesome to have him. I do think he's going to look good on the shelf from a distance for sure. But there's definitely some production issues with this guy that I'm not super pleased with. So, if you have a perfect figure, or if you don't agree with me, let me know in the comments. I'd like to chat with other sort of collectors about what they think about the figure too, if they're having these problems too. I actually never mentioned his tattoo. He does have a cool tattoo on the inside of his arm right here. So G.I. Joe's doing good tattoos lately. Rock and Roll, him, Shipwreck, all ballin' tattoos. Good tattoo artists at Hasbro. Good. Bad painters at Hasbro. Bad. Alright, so this is the rest of the water wave right here. So definitely a mixed bag quality-wise. I love the characters. I love some of the designs. I think easily the winner of this episode is probably Shipwreck. Although I do really like Torpedo's modernizations. And I really want to love Copperhead. But there's a few things wrong with his figure. A few QC concerns that I have, dear Hasbro. But having said that, 3 more iconic G.I. Joes. And I'm definitely excited for the Snow Wave coming out. The Snow Bat and, Snow Serpent and Snow Job. So this wave is definitely pretty good. Just have some QC concerns. But thanks for watching, guys, gals, non-binary pals. Don't forget to subscribe, like, all that good stuff below. Let's chat about our G.I. Joes. Let's chat about our plastic. And peace out.